For a sectional 19, we got some good ones. We got DeKalb at East Noble, and we've got Northwood at Leo. When you talk about DeKalb at East Noble, DeKalb kind of pulled it out last week late. A couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter. No Landon Miller, but Tanner Jack goes for over 100 yards, 3 TDs against a solid squad. And then as far as East Noble goes, East Noble just continues to be East Noble. Bailey Parker and company just rolling.
Yeah, what did he put up? Almost over 300 yards of total offense last week. Ho hum, just another day at the office for Bailey Parker. And I know there's a lot of optimism with DeKalb heading into East Noble, but we felt that same way in the regular season matchup. And DeKalb really got owned pretty much in that game, as most everybody has, by East Noble in the NE8. So did they find some things that could work this time around? I think that's a really good question, but until we see somebody able to go to Kendallville on that turf and put up a good fight in terms of a conference opponent, I kind of doubt it.
The one thing I love about East Noble this year is they're so consistent week to week. It was like through the first 6 games they had scored either
35 points?
Yeah, it was like 33, 34, or 35 points in each game. And there really hasn't been that week where you're like, okay, that was a trap game, or just they didn't have it together, they shot themselves in the foot. Like when you come to the postseason, you can't have those games.
Yeah.
And they haven't had those games in week 10 every week. They just seem to play East Noble football, score somewhere in the 30s, and win a football game.
It's just very businesslike. It'll be Van Gorder. I mean, we talk so much about Bailey Parker, we forget a lot about those guys that are doing it on both sides of the ball.
Marcellus, those guys.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are performing well. I mean, you got some really good sophomores on the defensive side of the ball that have stepped up and really performed over the last couple weeks, but really all season long. So truly a team effort. A lot of the focus goes on Bailey Parker, but this is a really good football team on both sides of the football. Even if you don't want to take Bailey Parker out of the equation, because I think he's probably MVP. Maybe you could talk about Brandon Pruitt, maybe Jake Falk, but Bailey Parker's in that conversation, right?
Probably leading that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what do you think about Leo? Because we know what Northwood does. They don't have the big Yoder kid.
Yeah.
But they do run their system. They know what to do. And I think the most important thing about high school athletics, they know how to win. They've learned how to win. But Leo has too. And they kind of pulled that one out against Leo or Angola last week in a game that was a lot closer than what we saw earlier in the season.
What we've seen out of Leo the last 2 weeks, right? They dominate DeKalb in week 9. They really get a good win against a feisty Angola team that was a lot better than their record indicated. And we're kind of looking ahead to maybe could Leo hang with East Noble if they get a rematch in the sectional championship. But this is by no means a game they can look past. I know Jared Souter is not going to allow that to happen. Northwood is one of those steady teams that you know what they're going to do. Only unfortunately sometimes you can't stop it. But it's not as good of a Northwood team as we've seen in the last couple of years. Definitely a threat though.
Okay, so for a sectional 20, Marion at New Haven, Mississinawa at Huntington North. Our 2 local teams will not be favored to win either of those games, and that is really a credit to the teams that are playing. Marion 7th in the state. I forget where Mishawaka is ranked, but they beat Delta last week, which I had Delta penciled in to win that game.
And you got a history in Muncie, right? I felt like Delta was the favorite there.
We're not known for our football. We're known for our basketball. But I was talking to my dad, and he was like, look out for that Delta team when they come up and play some of your 4A squads. They're going to be taking some of your guys out. They didn't even make it.
Instead, they go to Gas City and get punked.
Boom, they got gassed by Mississinawa. But if you're New Haven and Huntington North, what can you do to be competitive in these games? Because you are not going to be favored, although New Haven has won 5 of their last 6.
Yeah. How about that? I'm feeling good about the Bulldogs heading into this week. I think when you look at the matchups, when you look at athlete for athlete and where Marion's strengths and New Haven's strengths are, I think they're very similar. I think New Haven can go out there and match Marion score for score and win a game that gets into the 30s, especially with the way they've been playing. And I think their confidence is high. They get a win last week, of course, against Jay County. They were expected to win that one, but just keep it rolling. And now they get to host a state-ranked team that, handled their biz against Wayne, but that first half was a little sketchy, went back and forth. And New Haven's a much better team than Wayne, so I like the Bulldogs on Friday.
And the thing is, Jakar Williams isn't a youngster without experience anymore. He's gotten experience over the last month and a half. He's a great athlete. They got Jamar Hutchins. He can make plays, and you've got DeAndre Wright at the running back position. He's only a junior, but he's more of a man than I am. At least on paper.
And Jakar Williams, threw for over 225 yards, ran for over 100 yards last Friday. Yes, quality of opponent wasn't as good as what Marion's going to be, but the kid has really settled in at that spot.
Yeah, and you need confidence at that age, I think, too, as well.